International Monetary Fund IMF has honored the direct benefit transfer scheme of India as a logistical marvel, and today we will be talking about it. Hello and welcome to the In Focus series section of Drishti IAS. I am Aisha Singh, and in today's video we will be discussing about the direct benefit transfer scheme and the problem of tenant farmers which the direct benefit transfer scheme is not able to solve, or what is the problem that the tenant farmers are suffering and it is related to the direct benefit transfer scheme. So let us first understand the timeline of the video. First we will be looking at the news, then the limitation of the direct benefit transfer scheme which is related to the tenant farmers, then what is direct benefit transfer scheme, about the left out beneficiaries who are not included in it, then about the exclusion errors that has taken place, then what are the factors which has made the direct benefit transfer or the DBT a success, and what are the hurdles in it. In the end, a prelims MCQ and a mains practice question. This topic is of relevance from General Studies paper 2 and 3. From paper 3 it is agriculture and economy, and from paper 2 it is government policies and interventions. See, from exam perspective this topic is of utmost importance, especially from the mains perspective. So you should be able to know what is the limitation of direct benefit transfer, what is DBT, then what are the factors for its success, and what is the hurdles. So let's get started and see the news. And the news has been taken from the Indian Express, and it says why the DBT schemes, which is direct benefit transfer schemes, need to fix the problem of tenant farmers. So first important word here is why DBT schemes, why the DBT schemes need to fix the problem of the tenant farmers. Now we need to know that what is the problem of the tenant farmers and why the DBT scheme need to fix it. So let us just see that what is going on presently. See, the economists all over the world, or majorly the economists in India, they have advocated that the conversion of all agriculture subsidies, and the subsidies can be input subsidies or output subsidies. So all the agricultural subsidies, be it input like providing fertilizers, electricity, water, and output like procuring crops at above the market prices. So these kind of subsidies which the government provides, it can be converted into direct income support to farmers. So instead of giving the subsidies to the farmers, economists are saying that these subsidies can be converted into direct income support to farmers, and this direct income support is in the form of direct benefit transfer. Direct benefit transfer means that the fund or the information can be transferred into the accounts of the beneficiaries without any intermediary in between. So the direct income support can be given to farmers in the form of direct benefit transfer on a per acre or per farmer basis. That per farmer basis means every farmer can get it, and per acre means the land holdings. Then this will make the process more transparent, as we keep on complaining that the transparency is lacking, and simple to administer, because directly the accounts and the transactions can be traced. So what has happened is there is one limitation which could be seen, and that is very evident nowadays. So if we talk about the DBT schemes, like take for example the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, or the Telangana government very famous Raitu Bandhu scheme, and now the Andhra Pradesh YSR Raitu Bharosa scheme. So what is happening is that these schemes, the fund within these schemes do not reach tenant farmers. Now what are tenant farmers? Who are tenant farmers? See, there are many types of farmers, be it big farmers, small farmers, marginalized farmers, medium farmers. So many a times what happens is that there are people who have the land and there are people who do not have land. So many a times the people who are having land, they themselves do not work on those lands, and they give that land to someone else on lease. and take some kind of amount, or I would say in the final percentage, whatever the crop is grown, some percentage in it. So the people who are working on those land on lease basis are tenant farmers. So the land do not belong to them, but they work on that land for a specified time, whatever is their contract or whatever they talk about. So they work on someone else's land and the land is on someone else's name. They are just working on it on lease basis. So the limitation that has been seen in the direct benefit transfer under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi or Telangana government Raitu Bandhu or Andhra Pradesh YSR Raitu Bharosa scheme, that the direct benefit transfer is not reaching these tenant farmers. So what is happening, that the farmers which are working on the land, the direct benefit transfer is not reaching them, while is reaching to the people on whose name the land is taken, on the person whose name the land is. So that person will receive the amount in his or her account, while on the other hand the person who is working on that land will not receive the amount. So that is what is happening, the problem, that the tenant farmers is not able to receive the DBT, that is who undertake cultivation on leased basis. So these are tenant farmers, and now they are not able to receive the amount while they are working on it, while the person who is not working on it, and just because the land is on his or her name, the person is receiving the amount in his or her account. Now let us talk about that what is direct benefit transfer scheme. So the direct benefit transfer scheme in India came into existence in 2013, and it is a way to reform the government delivery system. See, what can it do is, it brings the government and the beneficiary in direct contact with each other, while there is no intermediary in between. So the government can directly get in touch with the beneficiary and can directly send the information on or the fund to the beneficiary without anyone coming in between. So it is an aid for simpler or faster flow of information and funds to the beneficiaries and to reduce the fraud. This is one of the main point in the delivery system. So earlier what used to happen was, the amount which the farmers was receiving was coming through many channels. So the amount did not, or the amount never reached the farmers. But now the government has taken a good step, and the government and the beneficiaries are in direct contact with each other, and the amount or the information can be directly sent to the beneficiary without anyone coming in between. So now the beneficiary is able to receive the full funds or the complete funds which are entitled for them. Now let us talk about the left out beneficiaries. So the people who are working as tenant farmers on someone else's land, let's talk about them. So under the PM Kisan, what happens is, the farmers receive an annual income support of rupees 6,000, and all land holding farmer families in India, they receive it. Land holding farmer families. So all the families which have the land on their name. Then under the Telangana's Raitu Bandhu scheme, they give the financial assistance of rupees 10,000 per acre, and all farmers owning land and without any size limit. So they also have to own land. Then comes the Andhra Pradesh YSR Raitu Bharosa scheme. There the farmer families are paid rupees 13,500 per year, and out of this 13,500, 6,000 rupees is paid on under the PM Kisan scheme, while the 7,500 rupees is paid by the Andhra Pradesh government. So what is happening is, under these schemes there is an exclusion of tenant farmers because they do not have the land on their name. That is why they are not able to receive the amount while they are working on that land. And the people who are not working and has given the land on lease, first of all, they are not working and still they are receiving the amount, and second, they are already taking a share from the tenant farmers. So it is like double loss for the tenant farmers. Then from income support and also zero low income interest loans, crop insurance, disaster compensation and other agri related schemes, also the tenant farmers are not receiving any DBT. Then there is rising trend of owners no longer directly cultivating their own lands, because the owners are not very much now interested and they give out their land on lease, because on the basis of which they can receive a very fixed and stable income. Then according to the National Statistical Office, that is NSO, Situation Assessment of Agriculture Household Survey for 2018-19, it says that 17.3% of the total estimated 101.98 million operational holdings, that is farms, in rural India were on leased lands. See, this is an important point because this is a fact which you can write in your mains answer writing. It says that 17.3% of the total estimated 101.98 million operational holdings in rural India were on leased lands. It means people are given their land on lease and they themselves are not working on it and they themselves are not cultivating it. So look at this chart. This says that state-wise tenancy. So this is percentage of tenant holdings, that how much the tenant is holding, the percentage, and this is the percentage in area leased in. So the first number, the state which is on the first number is, that is Andhra Pradesh. So in India, the state which has the highest percentage of tenant holdings is Andhra Pradesh, that is 42.4%. This is a huge percentage. While the area leased is 36.4, while the second number it comes the Odisha, which has the percentage of tenant holding 39%. Third is West Bengal. While on the other hand, if you will see Haryana and Punjab, they have reverse trend. Like for example, the percentage of tenant holding is less, which is 21.3% for Haryana and 21.1% for Punjab. While on the other hand, the percentage area leased in, the percentage area is more than the percentage tenant holdings. So the percentage area is 34.7, while in Punjab the percentage area is 27.8. So if you will have to talk about the state which has the highest percentage of tenant holdings in India is Andhra Pradesh, and it is leading by a huge margin. It is 42.4%. While if you will see the overall India's percentage, then the percentage of tenant holding is 17.3, while the percentage area leased in is 13%. So this was about the state-wise tenancy. Now let's talk about the exclusion errors, and we will take the example of Andhra Pradesh because Andhra Pradesh has the highest number of DBT beneficiaries in India. So Andhra Pradesh, that is India's most DBT advanced state. See, between June 2019 and October 2022, there is a transfer of over rupees 1,76,500 crore which has taken place in Andhra Pradesh to some 7.37 crore people under 26 DBT schemes. So this is the exact numbers which has happened and has taken place in Andhra Pradesh. And the target for them is not only farmers, that is farmers, women, senior citizens, school children, unorganized workers and specific communities also. Then according to a survey of 3,855 tenant farmers in 31 gram panchayat across 9 Andhra Pradesh district, we are talking about the tenant farmers here. So that there was a survey which was done and it says that the Andhra Pradesh government's agri DBT schemes, specifically Andhra Pradesh government's agri DBT scheme, that is YSR, Right to Bharosa scheme, free crop insurance scheme and the input subsidy and Sunnavadi, that is zero interest loan scheme, they cover tenant farmers. They are now covering tenant farmers, but that is only the case of Andhra Pradesh, not any other state. And they have enacted the AP Andhra Pradesh Crop Cultivator Right Law in August 2019 for the tenant farmers. That is Andhra Pradesh Crop Cultivator Right Law. See, you people can need to note it down because this will also work as a good case study for you. Then they have also issued a Crop Cultivator Rights Card, which is CCRC for tenant farmers. Crop Cultivator Rights Card by Andhra Pradesh government. This is for persons which is cultivating the land of owners under agreement with 11-month validity. See, there is an agreement also here. While in most of the cases we see that there is no agreement give and take between the tenant farmers and the land owner. Many a times and many a places we will see that the agreement does not take place. While here in Andhra Pradesh the agreement is also happening with 11-month validity and countersigned by the village revenue officer. So this can be a huge step, and this can also be a very good point for you to note it down. Crop Cultivator Rights Card for people or persons cultivating the lands of owners. So this means tenant farmers. Then they are entitled lease cultivators to benefit under the state's DBT scheme. An RSV study has found that just 364 out of the 3,855 tenant farmers have received the CCRC. See, out of the 3,800 people who took part in the survey, out of those only 364 tenant farmers have the Crop Cultivator Rights Card with them. So there is a huge difference between the number of people who could have while the number of people who did not had. And if you will see the difference, 3,855 people, and out of this only 364 people, not even 20%. So there is what the problem is, that the people are not able to get what they need and what they actually deserve and what is there for them. So all the people, the tenant farmers, if they can get CCRC, they will be entitled to all the other benefits also within the Andhra Pradesh, because the Crop Cultivator Rights Card are for all the people and persons who are cultivating the lands of owners. Now let us talk about the factors which have led to the success of the direct benefit transfer scheme among the people. So that is first, inclusive financial sector system. Whenever we talk about the DBT scheme, this talks about a financial inclusion, because this gets into the financial sector more and more number of people, and the people can also directly receive the money in their own hand. And all the people who did not have the bank account, also their bank account was created. And this works on a mission mode approach, because this is very active between the government and the beneficiaries. Then the Aadhaar enabled payment system and unified payment interface, because there is no intermediary between the government and the beneficiary, and the Aadhaar card has to be given by the beneficiary also, so that everything can also be come into a systematic way and can also be easily tracked down. Then comes the proactive government initiatives. So now the more and more schemes are coming under the direct benefit transfer, so that the beneficiaries can receive the full benefit of the scheme. Then the direct benefit transfer has also helped plug leakages in welfare scheme. So earlier, as I've told you, what used to happen was there were so many intermediaries between the government and the beneficiaries. So whatever the government used to send for the beneficiaries, like for example, if the government is sending for one person 10 rupees, then by crossing so many intermediaries and the middlemen, what the beneficiary was receiving was 1 rupee maximum. So this was what the problem was. So now, so that the whatever the government sends and the beneficiary can receive its full advantage, that is why the direct benefit transfer scheme is what is creating a big help for the poor people. Then infused confidence of citizen in the governance system of the country, because now the people are able to get in direct touch with the government, plus they are able to receive the benefit which is entitled to them, plus there is no intermediary, and plus there is no delay also, and they do not have to cross so many hurdles. Now that things can be given it to them on direct basis. So this is what creates the credibility and the authenticity and also the transparency between the government and the beneficiary, and the government and the beneficiary will get the confidence in the governance of the country. Now let us talk about the hurdles which is coming in the way of the direct benefit transfer scheme. First and foremost is the complex and multi-layered governance machinery. Complex because not many people, or I would say not many tenant farmers are aware about the banking system, or they can easily actually handle it. So many a time what the tenant do was to just get rid of all these functions and all these multi-layer starting process. What they tend to do is they do not get involved in all these things and separates them from this process. Then comes the India's diversity and access barriers, and also the digital divide. People do not know how to use the account or how to access bank, or sometimes the bank branches are so far away from them, and secondly not because they are not educated enough, so they do not want to go to the bank branches or access their benefits, because that is what they think that they are not comfortable in that sense while going out to the government offices or to the banks and carry out all those processes. So this is what is the major hurdle in it. Now let us come to a prelims MCQ, and you people need to tell me the answer in the comment section. And it says, which among the following schemes are example of direct benefit transfer? First is the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, second is PM Kisan, third Atal Pension Yojana, and fourth is Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. You have to tell the correct answer, and the codes are 1 and 4 only, 2, 3 and 4 only, 1, 2 and 3 only, or all the above. Try to solve the question. And the last aspect is the mains practice question, and this is a 10 marker question, and it says how the direct benefit transfer mission or the DBT mission improved the government's welfare transfers. Discuss the challenges associated with it too. So first you have to talk about what is DBT, then talk about how DBT has improved the government's welfare transfer, then talk about what are the challenges associated to it, and in the end a conclusion. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till we meet next time, keep reading and keep writing.